Phone lines are open at 702-483-4444. Once again, that's 702-483-4444. Or you can stream us online at vegasallnetradio.com. And now, let's start on the path of happiness together. Here's your host, Angela Savage.
Good morning and welcome to Good News with Angela Savage on Vegas All Net Radio. Happy Monday. I hope you had a nice weekend. We had a holiday this weekend. It was Valentine's Day. And, you know, I'm one of those people that says, why do we need one day a year for Love Day? I like to walk in the love walk. So I think every day should be Valentine's Day. You know, I don't want to have to worry about paying for expensive cards and flowers and chocolates for my hubby, so I don't make him do that for me. We show each other love all year round. And I want to encourage everybody to try and remember exactly what love is and what love is not. I'm going to read a Bible verse for you today just so that we can remember. And it's from 1 Corinthians, which is known as the love chapter. It's 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. This is what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not jealous. Love does not brag, and it is not proud. Love is not rude. Love is not selfish. Love does not get upset with others. Love does not count up wrong things that have been done against them. Love is not happy with evil, but is only happy with the truth. Love patiently accepts all things and is not easily offended. Love always trusts, always hopes, and always remains strong. Real love never ends. Thank you for letting me read that to you from 1 Corinthians. I just really want to promote making every day Valentine's Day. Let's really pump up our love walk. Turn our love lights on. You know, we all need each other. We're all in this together. We all suffer in our own ways. So I'm ready to just put out the love. And I hope that I'm encouraging some other people to do the same thing. My guest today is Mike Mosley Jr. I am so excited. Mike Mosley Jr. is the son of former IndyCar driver Mike Mosley. Mike's father started racing in 1960s and made his debut at the Indianapolis 500 in 1968. His father would compete at Indy 15 times, qualifying on the front row in his best two starts in 1981 and 1983. His best finish was third in 1979, but he is perhaps best remembered for taking a 4-year-old Eagle to the front in the 1972 race before crashing in turn 4 as a result of mechanical failure. It was the second year in a row that he had been injured in a crash in turn 4 at Indy. Mike Mosley won 5 IndyCar races in his career, including 3 times at Milwaukee. Incredibly, 2 of his wins were from the last starting spot on the grid. Mike's father briefly retired from racing in 1975, saying he was tired of being injured, but would soon unretire as he quickly realized that few other career options provided the ability to make a similar living. In March of 1984, Mike Jr. and his father were involved in a road accident a day after riding motorcycles together. Mike Sr. did not survive the accident, but Mike Jr. survived with only minor injuries, and he was 16 years old at the time. Mike Jr. has 2 beautiful children, and welcome to the show, Mike Jr.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so nice to hear your voice. I got to chat with you a little bit before the show, but we're just now getting to know each other actually by phone instead of just social media. So this is great. It's really nice to get to know you.
Absolutely.
You know, I want to say, since I was talking about love before, and I'm not afraid to show my love, you know, strongly these days. There's certain people that I haven't met you yet, but we're already connected. And there's certain people that I meet where I have this automatic bond with. You know, it's like it's in my DNA. It's an electrical connection. There's something going on. Maybe it's a little innate knowledge my dad gave me, but you're one of those people. Even though we haven't got to have that hug yet, you're my brother. You're just my brother, and that's how I feel, and I love you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. You know, it's, you know, I've felt that way for years, just about people that have been in your shoes, my shoes, The Dallenbach kids, Gordy's son, just people that, we only know what these shoes feel like, to have somebody, a father in the spotlight, that it was dangerous, so yeah, we're all pretty, connected and close, and I've been close with several of them over the years, and I'm glad that you're in the fold now.
Thank you so much. I feel late, but better late than never. I feel really,
absolutely.
It's kind of ironic that it took me 40 years to get back to the scene after the crash in the 40 car. But, better late than never, like I said. It's kind of like a haiku, come all the way full circle. And I really do feel like I finally found my people, if you will, and I was literally wandering around lost in the world, looking for love in all the wrong places. So now that I've got a grasp on who I am and where I come from, and I've worked through a lot of the pain enough to at least talk about it, I feel it's a blessing. It's being Swede's daughter's becoming a blessing now when it had always been such a curse. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad that you're where you're at now, because you do have so much to be proud of. I'm extremely proud of my dad. I'm extremely proud of the people that friend me on Facebook that I don't even know, but they like me and know me because of my dad.
Right.
And several people in racing, several people at the Speedway, the things that I've gotten to do, people that look out for me and have looked out for me, people that gave me rides in Silver Crown cars and midgets because of Dad, strictly because of Dad. And I'm very grateful. And and like you, there were several things that I had to work through. There was a lot of pain and anger, and I'm extremely grateful.
Yeah.
Very, very grateful.
Right. Well, I want to get right to the deep stuff. Having your dad as an IndyCar driver must have been really darn scary. And the irony is that, the year after he was kind of slowing down, that he ended up dying in a car accident. The whole time you're afraid while he's driving Indy cars, and then he actually ends up dying you were almost home, right? You were in the car with your dad and you were almost home. And I'm sorry to say your dad didn't make it, and you did. And it kind of goes to show that even though our dads were gladiators and risking their lives every day, you still just don't know when your time comes or how it's going to be. So you have to live your life to the fullest, live out your dreams.
Yeah, you really do. I know that, I in my own life today need to show how much I love people, because tomorrow's not promised.
Right.
So I need to be grateful and thankful for who I am and what I got to experience and the people that are in my life, and it's not always easy every day. You have to be grateful. So I totally agree.
It's really a one day at a time kind of thing. I don't think it's something, even though I was in my mom's belly, I still experienced it in my own way. I don't think it's something that you ever get over. It's just, it becomes a day-to-day thing. And then, as we know, the racing community is the most loving, wonderful, accepting community, and I know that without the support of all my friends that I have now, I couldn't be doing what I'm doing right here, right now. All the love and support that I needed my whole life, I didn't know was there. I'm just glad I finally figured it out before it was too late.
Yeah. And I'm stoked for that, that you've got a big family out there, and I'm one of them.
Yeah, sure.
And I know that you're getting to know these people, and like I said, people at the Speedway, people in IndyCar. Your dad was very well thought of, and I'm glad that you're getting to see that.
I am getting to see that, and it's mind blowing every day. And I love seeing him get all pumped up on social media. Nobody will ever forget his name or his face, And I'm having so much fun making sure that his legacy is correct, for one thing, because there's a few little niches in there that I had to fix,
Sure.
and
Sure.
and to make sure that he's never forgotten. I mean, he wouldn't have been anyway, but I'm having a heck of a lot of fun playing with that too, blowing him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No pun intended.
No.
Let me I want to ask you, this is kind of deep. As a 16-year-old boy in an accident with your dad, and he didn't make it, and you did. How did you handle that? I mean, as such a young child, I can't imagine how your world was rocked at that moment. And did you immediately feel like you stepped into his shoes to take care of Alice, or how did you get through the years after that? I just need to know.
Well, believe me, it wasn't easy. It was not easy. Thankfully, the type of person that my mom is, she's strong. She, looked out for Dad and I. I mean, she was in a position already as the type of person that she is, that she was able to handle things, and she was able to handle me, and kind of.
She didn't fall apart. She really held it together for the kids.
Absolutely.
Go Alice.
I can't put my finger on any particular day or time. I know she did.
Yeah.
She's a very, like I said, strong. She's a go-getter. She never sits down. She's still to this day is very active. So,
I'd really like to meet her one day and thank her in person for a couple of things I want to talk about right now, since we're talking about Alice. After the accident, my mom was living in the emergency room, in the waiting room at Methodist Hospital, and your mom, God bless your mom, and she would come in and bring in homemade food so that my mom didn't have to eat the stuff at the hospital. She would even set up a little table for her in the cafeteria. And I had always wondered, my mom had this long, beautiful hair, and I had always wondered when exactly she cut her hair off. Well, when my mom was in the hospital waiting on my dad for 33 days, her hair had become a mess. She couldn't take care of herself, and it was a rat's nest, and it was everywhere. And Alice came in and gave her a nice little bob haircut so that she could take care of herself better while she was in the hospital. And my mom said she always loved that haircut. It was such a really beautiful haircut. And then after my dad died, Alice went with my mom back to the apartment, that suite and my mom were living in, to help her pack. And she didn't make her go alone. I really want to shout out for your mom, because she was there for my mom in such a tender and very special way. She cut her hair. She brought her food. She went to the apartment and helped her pack up sweet stuff, and they were all just bawling. But it says so much about your mom's character. You think you have these friends, but when tragedy happens, the true ones show their juice. And your mom stepped up for my mom and probably helped her, keep it together a lot during that time. And boy, I just want to give her a big old thank you hug for that. I love you, Alice. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's my mom. Since you and I've been talking, Mom definitely wants to get a hold of your mom and say hi and kind of get back in touch and things like that. But yeah, that's Mom.
Yeah, we'll do that. What are some of your earliest memories of your father, the race car driver?
Well, I tell you, it was normal to me. I would go to school and kids would want autographed pictures, and Dad would do it. But to me, he was Dad. He wasn't this big race driver. He wasn't this famous person. I remember getting letters from Germany things like that. I would see them in envelopes for Dad, and he was just Dad. I mean, it was nothing. I knew that as I got older, I knew that the lifestyle that Dad had and that we got to enjoy, the traveling, the going to races, hanging out with, the drivers' sons, that we all became friends. And so I knew that I was very fortunate that I got to travel throughout the United States and see things that my friends may never or didn't get to do. But to me, he was just Dad. I mean, he wore flaps and he wore Levi's and he wore OP shorts, and he was just Dad.
So so you managed to keep your ego in check growing up? You weren't like, "Hey, my dad's Mike Mosley. I'm so cool." You were pretty humble. Did you stay humble about it? That must have been hard if you did.
Well, we won't go there.
So you had your moments, right? When
we all have our times. There were definitely times.
Well, he's the man. I mean, you gotta shout it out. Our dads are like Superman. Who could keep that
exactly?
Who could keep that quiet?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there were definitely times that I may have tooted my horn more than others. I think there were definitely, some times, probably in my 30s, where I was having the hardest time. It was the first time I moved back to Indy, and it was my second home, and I wanted to try and further what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And there were definitely, when people talk about the Speedway being a living entity, it's the people that are in racing know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you should see me. My eyes just lit up, and I'm nodding my head. Yeah. I mean, the place is alive. Yeah. It's alive. You can
stand on 16th Street.
Yeah, we all feel it.
Like I said, yeah, especially if you're in it or have been involved in it. Literally, your dad and my dad. There's blood, sweat, and tears.
Literally.
In that, literally.
I love that you said that. Because, my dad's, part of my dad's spirit is definitely at that track. He hit that wall so hard, so his spirit dissipated through Indy. Yeah. So I feel like I'm visiting with my dad when I'm there. And I know he's always with me now, but man, he goes with me. I'm a spiritual person, and I believe that my father and I are reconnected now, and that he's more at peace because he can finally see me at peace, because I was trying to off myself as fast as I could for so long. I just couldn't take it. I had a broken heart, and now I feel like he's making me proud, and it really is a living entity there, and I like to, kind of keep things all open and absorb all that juice, while you're at the track. I think everyone that goes there does that, and that's why it's so on fire, because we're all on fire. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it was probably in my 30s, that I was really having the hardest time with probably Dad and the legacy and things, because there was so much pain, and then of course, what's underneath anger, it's hurt.
Yeah.
There was a lot there.
The four stages of grief.
Me, there's more than one yellow shirt that I owe an apology to. Because
well, God bless you for knowing that.
Yeah, because of there was that hurt there, and so there was a lot of years of going through different things.
Yeah. The process of you were working through the four stages of grief in public, and not everybody has to do that. So hurting people hurt people. So while you were hurting, you might have said some things that you didn't really mean. We just kind of spout things out because we're trying to get the pain out of us, and it goes to the people around us. But you were just going through the natural stages of grief, but you had to do it in front of everybody. Not everybody has to do that. And it's really sweet that now that, I was kind of an ass sometimes, but I'm sorry, and this is why, and I'm better now. And that's all we can ask from anybody, is to just try and be better every day. Just a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. And thankfully, I had different people in different stages of my life that were there. I mean, I've got a good friend of mine, Will Patel, Eddie Pierce, his parents, different people at different parts of my life and continuing through my life that were there, that really know me and really have always been there. So I'm grateful for those people that have always just really been there,
You really should be. It was probably my own fault because I blocked everybody out of my life. I had this chronic loneliness, and who could feel the hole of Swede Savage, and that's, as a little girl, I'm like, who could ever fill that hole, so I just didn't have it was so hard, and I wouldn't let anybody in, not at all. So I wish I would have, my mom, she left the racing. She just didn't want to, it broke her, so she went away from it. And now I'm just trying to make my way back to who I am and what's my part in all this. And how do I be Swede Savage's daughter and do it right, despite how it all turns out. I just want to make my daddy proud and hopefully offer some encouragement and hope and inspiration for other people along the way, who might think, if I can get through such tragedies and you can get through such tragedies, then other people can as well.
Of course.
One day at a time. Your father was known as a man with a quiet, reserved personality. How do you describe your mother? We did that a little, but I want to hear more. Is she the same way or different? Was she more of the speaker than your dad? Was he quiet?
Oh yeah, Mom.
She ruled
Mom
it?
is definitely the more gregarious. She had friends. She,
Go, Mom.
Was involved in church. She, was always going. And I think I feel that I've kind of gotten to both. Of Mom and Dad. I mean, Dad wasn't one to even do this, and it doesn't really bother me. So I get that from my mom, but I'm also kind of a family person. I don't have a lot of friends like my dad did. He had maybe a handful of friends that he ever hung out with.
Right.
He was quiet, and I'm a little more talkative, but I also like quiet.
Right.
So I've kind of gotten both, to be honest.
Right. I was going to say, are you more like your mother or your father? But you're pretty much got the best of both sides, right?
Yeah. I think I do, to be honest. Yeah.
I think personality-wise, I might be more like my dad. In fact, that's kind of funny. I mean, even though I didn't know him personally, my mom and I are a little bit like oil and water. But we have a good relationship. But it's I look halfway like my mom and halfway like my dad. But I think my personality is more like my dad. I'm kind of a tomboy, and I definitely would have been ripping around the racetrack if I had the chance to when I was little. It's not over yet, I still want to get a dirt bike and go rip some mud around. It's in me.
Yeah.
Definitely. My mom used to ride motorcycles back in the day too. She was cool. We got to find her. Everybody listening, let's find my mom a really cute motorcycle man. She is gonna kill me for that. But she wants a motorcycle guy to come and ride her off into the sunset. So if there's anyone out there that thinks they can handle my mom, Cheryl, then send me an application and we'll talk about it.
Oh God.
When you were growing up, did some of the other kids think that your father was cool because he was an IndyCar driver? Like at school, they followed you in groups, right? You knew your dad was awesome.
Yeah, they definitely did. I mean, like I said, they wanted autograph pictures. So yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't. I certainly wasn't on a pedestal or anything even like that. But they all knew, and they all thought it was really cool. And whenever they met him, it was like, oh wow, So yeah, it was.
Is it cool? Kind of cool seeing him in the news.
Knew who he was.
Pardon?
Oh yeah.
Cool seeing him on TV and in the newspapers and stuff.
Yeah. In fact, I got I got pulled over one time. I was about 17 or 18, and my first car was a 1970 Ford Galaxy. It was a huge boat. and I got pulled over. I had lowered, and I got pulled over, and the cop saw my license, and he said, "Huh, I thought you'd have been driving a Porsche."
Oh, did you get away?
So,
Did you get the ticket? We need to know.
no, I did absolutely get the ticket.
Oh, he should have let you off. You're Mike Mosley Jr. Of course you speed. You can't help it. It's in your blood.
I know. Yeah.
I'm good for one speeding ticket a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. I
That's
can't
pretty
help
good.
it. But my car's kind of it's not anything that wants to go fast, so I can't get myself in too much trouble.
Good. Good.
I wanted to tell a story about after a Phoenix race, or it might have been Poneco, there was a long, long line of traffic and cars leaving the race. And my mom's story was your dad and your mom were in a rental car. And your dad, they got so impatient with waiting in the traffic that they just got out of the rental car, left it there, and just started walking and walking and walking, and everyone was kind of honking and laughing, and they knew he was, it's Mike Mosley,
Right.
Mike and Alice Mosley, and they're walking because they didn't want to be in traffic. And what my mom remembered most is that your mom always wore really cool Native American turquoise jewelry. And that day she was loaded up with this heavy metal turquoise jewelry, walking in the heat because she didn't want to wait in traffic. I just thought that was kind of a fun story I wanted to tell.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
He didn't want to wait. He's like, we're out of here. So they're just walking, along the cars with their turquoise on. It takes me back, and I wasn't even there. I love the visual of that.
Yeah.
I need to take a quick break. Do you mind just waiting for just a moment while I do a little break ski?
Of course.
Okay, we will be right back with Mike Mosley Jr. You're listening to Good News with Angela Savage on Vegas All Net Radio.
Welcome back. Let's get back on the path to happiness. Once again, here's Angela Savage.
Good morning and welcome back to Good News with Angela Savage on Vegas All Net Radio. We're talking to Mike Mosley Jr., my brother from another mother. How you doing, Mike?
Good.
Thank you so much for waiting while I did my little commercials. We got to do that. I want to know, did you go to the races with your dad much?
I tell you, I really didn't. I did go to a lot of the other races, probably all of them at different years. The Speedway was different. I mean, it was the Indy 500, so
right.
I didn't go to the race because that was just mom and dad. That was business. I mean, that was
Amen.
The biggest race of the year of
Right.
of the world. So I usually didn't go to that one, but yeah, I went to Pocono and Milwaukee and Phoenix and Texas World Speedway. I mean, all of those, absolutely. We used to, this was before buses and all those. We had our van that we went from each one, and then in between the races, we would go camp somewhere for a week or two.
That is so cool.
So it was nice. It was very cool.
That is really, really cool. My dad was the same way. He wouldn't let Shelly come to the races at all. He said that that the track wasn't a place for kids because people get hurt, people die, and he didn't want Shelly there either. Thank God she wasn't there in 1973. And I always feel a connection to the kids that were there that had to see that. I always say Indy car. I mean, racing cars is one of the only sports literally to die for. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes down. People really get hurt, and some people don't think it's a really good place for children. My dad, he didn't want my sister there at all, and now I mean, you can see why.
Yeah, I mean, especially in that era, when your dad was coming up, and my dad was coming up also. I mean, it was that was the time of getting to 200 miles an hour, and
yeah, the speeds jumped like 20 miles an hour, right? Just at that year.
Yeah, in that year because they added the wings and things like that, and the cars were, I mean, it was really nuts. I mean,
It was nuts. It was to the walls, if you will. Our dads, I mean, I don't want to say they're crazy, but oh my gosh, it takes a lot of cojones to do what they did, especially in that era when it was so kind of experimental. They knew that they were crash test dummies. They were living crash test dummies. You think that's a good way to put it? I mean, because they were learning while they were going.
Yeah, it was the early 70s were all about change and all about innovation and speed, and, I mean, your dad was one of them.
I'm proud.
Art Pollard. There were guys that, didn't make it through that era, and part of it was because of the cars. And, I know that there was a couple crashes that Dad had was because the car was so fast.
Yeah.
The parts didn't hold.
Oh my gosh.
And
I mean, these guys they're trying to stay alive, first of all, during the race. How many other sports do you say that? Let's first of all just get to the end of the race,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the other side too is that was part that the 70s were a time in IndyCar that really pulled a lot of people in because of the innovation and the speed and you just drove. I mean, you got in these cars and just drove.
And they were all a little bit different too. I think people crave that more, how everybody came with their own ideas, and the cars were different, and it really came down to what a crew could do together, and not everyone having basically the same car. That's why SVRA is on such a rise in the vintage stuff, because these people are they're craving the nostalgic juice of Indy 500, and that's what Tony Perella provides with SVRA.
Absolutely.
Do you go to any of the vintage races?
I don't. I would. I'd like to at some point. There's a couple people that I've talked to that own a couple of Dad's cars. And they've, said that, at some point, maybe we can, meet at one of these deals and I can at least, drive one of Dad's cars, and so
oh my gosh.
That's on my bucket list.
Okay, I'm manifesting something on our bucket list. You and I, this is the biggest dream of all dreams. Let's make it a goal to run our dad's cars together next to each other in a vintage race.
That would be absolutely incredible.
Oh my gosh. Bill Okerlund is the owner of the 42 CUDA and lots of other really, really important vintage cars. And he's coming on my show in a couple weeks. And I'm going to gracefully beg him if I could please take the 42 CUDA for a spin, because that's my life dream, and just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I can't do it. You believe me, I can keep up with you. And wouldn't that be awesome to be next to each other in our dad's cars in a vintage spin?
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
Anything I could do to help?
Awesome.
I'll be right there.
Oh, you got my back, Mike.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I love you for that. I really do. Did your father? Did he warn you about the dangers? Like while you were growing up, did he warn you about how dangerous what he was doing is? Like how actual dangerous it is? I mean, did you know he could die when you were a little boy every time he went out there?
I mean, it was almost like what I was saying was. I was playing with, Paul Dallenbach and Bookie, and, we're playing in the dirt in the infield, and really that was our main focus, so our dads being out there,
it's so sweet.
It just really didn't connect. I know that my dad didn't want me to drive.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm getting at. So he wasn't he wasn't encouraging you to follow in his footsteps.
No.
Were you following in his footsteps before he passed, or was it after that you decided to step in his steps?
yeah. It wasn't till after Dad died that I actually met with Craco, Ken Balch at Craco that ran the team Craco. And Ken actually was the one that got me my first go-kart. And he talked to Emic out in California. They gave me a go-kart, 2 engines. And that's really when I started to go-kart race, when I was 16, but Dad didn't want me to do it.
He didn't.
He had been hurt so bad.
Yeah. He was lucky. I mean, I saw some of the crashes that he went through. He really got lucky. Some of them get lucky. Wow.
Yeah.
I can understand. It's the same with me. People are like, when are you going to put Chance in a go-kart? And, they're both... Cruz is going to be my racer spirit. I know it. He's only 4. Chance is 9. But,
Right.
people are asking me why I don't have Chance in a kart yet. And I think you can understand that it's not really a natural progression to put, after you've had some tragedy like I have, it's hard for me to put my kids in a car like that. It's difficult. Of course, they're going to do what I'll never stop them from following their dreams, no matter what they are. But it's scary. It's a scary sport.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I thought about getting a go-kart for Michael. He's 9.
Michael's 9?
Sooner.
Just like Chance?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Oh,
So
well, let's
I
make them
thought
friends.
About, getting him one sooner than later, and seeing if he likes it. If he likes it,
Cool.
I'll do whatever I can to help him. If he doesn't like it, doesn't like it.
Right. Oh, that sounds fun. All right, I'm coming over. I'm bringing Chance. Well, these kids got to be friends. It just has to be that way.
Of course.
Right.
You bet.
So what else? Let's talk about your racing. Tell us what you did in your career of racing.
Let's see. I mean, I started racing go-karts with IKF out in California with Scott and Julie Kunste. They really helped me. I raced one of their go-karts plus one of mine. It was actually their son, John. He would race in one class. I'd race in the other. Willow Springs. We raced at Carlsbad. Raced at Riverside. And then I went to the Jim Russell School at Riverside before they tore it down.
Cool.
So I got to do that. And then back in India, I raced off-road cars, class 1600 for my uncle. I raced dirt bikes in the desert.
Nice.
Like your dad.
Yeah.
He did more of the, Ascot and all that. But
he used to do the big races down in Mexico and stuff when he was like 16.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yep. Very cool.
He did everything.
And then I moved to India in '95 and started racing Silver Crown. I ran for A.J. Watson. He gave me my first shot.
Oh.
And then I did my Indy Lights test when I was at 40. That was kind of my last shot.
Yeah.
And passed my rookie test at Nashville.
Awesome.
So I definitely worked at it, and I definitely had gotten some opportunities because of my name, which I'm very grateful for.
Are you friends with Mike Lashmet? Do you know Mike?
I know that name, yes.
I bet you know his picture when he saw it.
Of course.
So tell us about your family. I want to hear more. Do you have brothers and sisters?
Nope. I'm it.
You're it. You're the only child?
I am it.
Now, so are there any... Now, what about your daughter? How old is she?
She's 13.
Now, is she a girly girl or is she a tomboy? What are you thinking?
Well, I tell you, she's probably, I think both, to be honest with you. She loves riding horses. We actually have her in barrel racing.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so she'll get dirty. She'll go there, but she'll also put on a hat, a dress, and so I think really she's got a good mix of both.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
How did you end up in Florida?
I tell you, I was living in Georgia for a few years, went through a divorce, and my ex-wife's parents live down here, and she wanted to move down here. Wendy, who I'm dating now, her ex-husband moved here, and her son wanted, their son wanted to spend more time with his dad and be closer. And so it was about the exact same time that Wendy was preparing to move down here when we started dating, and my ex-wife wanted to move down here. So we all kind of just moved at the exact same time. It just worked.
That's so cool, and all the vibes are
Yeah.
good, and everybody's working out fine. Everybody's friends.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's a blessing.
Yeah, everybody's good, and besides California, I mean, I really like it here. I'd wear flaps 24/7 if I could, and shorts, and
Yeah.
so I enjoy it here. I miss California. I miss my friends. I miss Fallbrook. I miss my family, and things like that. But
Yeah, I moved here. I moved to Las Vegas. I live in Boulder City now, which is outside of Las Vegas by Hoover Dam. But I moved here
Yeah.
from Laguna Beach, California, where I lived for about 25 years, and it was so hard leaving the ocean. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't have. It wasn't hard leaving the traffic and all the people and all the
Yes.
the rat race kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Everybody's in such a hurry. They can't be as nice to each other as they should be, maybe. Orange County, the Orange County thing. I love you, Orange County,
Yeah.
but I moved to Nevada to raise my kids, and also because I needed to make new friends and start a new life, because I wasn't living a healthy lifestyle, to put it mildly, and I love it out here because I feel like I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere, like you said. I'm more of a homebody. I like to just be at home in my own little pad with music or quiet and my kids,
Right.
and I don't really need all that hustle and bustle of Orange County. I don't think I'd ever move back down there, but I miss the ocean so bad. I crave the smell of the sand and the sounds and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely hear you on that. It's been several years since I lived anywhere that was by the beach, and so I'm, within 30 minutes of great Florida beaches, and so that's, I love the beach, so it's good.
So when I'm in Florida, I can come by and say hello, right?
Absolutely, you got a place to stay right here.
Oh, cool. Even a place to stay. That's awesome. Can you handle 2 boys? Oh, we got to get those kids together anyway.
Well, yeah, we'll just put all the kids together and they'll have a great time.
Oh my gosh, and we'll go karting, and guess who'll be in the cart first?
There you
Angela
go.
Savage. I'll be like pushing all the little boys out of the way. I'm like, let me at the cart. I'm going first. It's a new
Yeah.
Savage on the scene. Yeah.
Hmm. Of course.
Yeah, all right. Well, this has been such a fun chit chat. Thank you so much for taking your morning to talk with me. It's been really nice getting to know you better on air with my friends too. I want you to know that this is an open line of communication. You can come in or call in or be a guest anytime you have something to say or anything you want to promote. I can't wait to meet you in person. Are you going to the 100th running of the Indy 500?
I'm thinking about it. I mean, I
Thinking
definitely
about it.
would like to go. So, yeah, I'm considering it. Yeah.
Mike, make yourself go.
I probably should.
It's the 100th running. You have to go, please, please, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm definitely looking at it.
all right. I
Yeah.
pleased 3 times, so I'm done begging. But I did that. Okay, because
No problem.
Wouldn't that be an awesome place to get our first hug?
Absolutely. It'd be perfect.
That's the perfect place. So let's meet there at the Indy 500, the 100th running for our first hug, the one that I've waited
Okay.
42 years for.
Okay. All right.
All right. I love you so much. Thanks again for coming on. I asked you some of your favorite songs, and Bob Seger, The Rock, came up. And let me tell you, I love Bob Seger, man. That guy has the best lyrics, the best voice, the best. I just love Bob Seger. So I almost forgot about him for a second. I'm really glad you gave him a shout out. I want to thank you again for listening to Good News with Angela Savage. Please like my Facebook page, Good News with Angela Savage, and follow me on Twitter at Savage42 Inc. And with no further ado, I'm going to play Bob Seger's Like a Rock.